It's his second time speaking to the United Nations General Assembly. 1 year ago, Justin Trudeau boasted to the world that Canada was back.
The Assembly will hear a statement by His Excellency Justin Trudeau.
Today, he admitted to the world that Canada is flawed.
For Indigenous peoples in Canada, the experience was mostly one of humiliation, neglect, and abuse.
Trudeau briefly mentioned this in his UN speech last year, but this time he put the global spotlight on a great domestic shame. From the historic sins of the residential school system to the modern failures of poor living conditions.
There are today children living on reserve in Canada who cannot safely drink, bathe in, or even play in the water that comes out of their taps.
To the seemingly endless tragedies of Indigenous youth.
There are Indigenous parents in Canada who say goodnight to their children and have to cross their fingers in the hopes that their kids won't run away or take their own lives in the night.
Trudeau told the world that Canada has repeatedly failed, but promised to do better.
And though this path is uncharted, I am confident that we will reach a place of reconciliation.
It's rare for a world leader here to focus so heavily on a purely domestic issue. But Trudeau says it was necessary if Canada was going to be credible on the world stage.
A number of times in conversations over the years when I have suggested that certain countries need to do better on their own human rights, on their own internal challenges, the response has been, well, tell me about the plight of Indigenous people in Canada. I think it's time that we actually stood up and took responsibility for the terrible mistakes of the past.
Being credible on the UN stage is a key part of Trudeau's agenda, especially since the Prime Minister is campaigning for a seat on the Security Council. But while Trudeau wants a seat at the UN's big table, he was silent on the big issues that dominated the General Assembly. His speech made no reference to North Korea, and Canada still hasn't delivered a firm commitment on peacekeeping. David Cochran, CBC News, New York.